I have been so nervous to make this video, but it has been on my mind for so long. And I know that it's a really deep and profound message that my guides want me to get out there, but I'm just super afraid to post it because the world is in a really dark place, and this message has dark undertones, but a really profound message. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people that don't watch this video all the way through and have already made up their mind about what their nasty comment is going to be. I can only hope that a majority of you that have clicked on this will actually listen to and watch this video and understand what I'm saying. There is a huge message about humanity, compassion, togetherness, unity in this video. And that is the ultimate message: to come together, to be compassionate, to understand each other, to know that just because you're black, white, yellow, green, or brown doesn't mean that you're less or more than somebody else who's black, white, yellow, green, or brown. We're all human beings. That is the underlying profound message of this video. Stop the hatred. That's the message. Stop the hatred. Be a unity. Be a unit. Come together. Love each other. Have compassion. Have empathy. That is the main message of this video before I get into anything else. I am here to tell you that you are a human being and I am a human being. Whatever country you were born in, whatever your skin color is, whatever your ethnicity is, of course we want to respect and understand each other, but at the end of the day, you're a human being. I'm a human being. You need blood in your veins to survive. I need the same thing. My neighbor needs the same thing. You need your heart to beat. You breathe air into your lungs. We are all human beings at the end of the day, and the violence and the hatred needs to stop, but it starts with us. It starts with us as an individual human being saying, I'm not going to participate in this anymore. That is the message of this entire video. And now I'm going to get into everything I have been feeling. And I hope that you will listen to my message with an open mind with everything that I just said. I know that when you read the history books, Hitler is the monster. Hitler is the person we hate, and we should. I hope he's suffering every day in hell, every second for eternity. But Hitler is not the monster that we need to remember. Hitler simply used his voice to incite hatred. The real monster is the man that drove the train to the concentration camps knowing that all those passengers were going to suffer horrifically, and he still drove the train. History needs to remember the name of the man at the gas chamber that turned it on with women, children, babies inside. History should know the name of the men in the firing squad that pulled the trigger. History should know the name of the people who turned in Jewish people just because they wanted to. Anne Frank's family and the family that was in the attic with them were hurting nobody, doing nothing, minding their own business, and it was an everyday citizen that turned them in. For what reason? The monsters are us. The monsters are the citizens of the countries, not the leaders. Of course, Hitler deserves to suffer. Absolutely, I'm not saying that he doesn't, and I hope he is. But he wasn't the one raping the women. He wasn't the one beheading babies. He wasn't the one at the gas chamber turning it on. He wasn't the one at the firing squad shooting those guns. He wasn't the one driving the trains. It was the citizens. Whether in the military or not, it was the citizens of the country that conducted the acts of violence. It wasn't Hitler. He's the one that gets the name label monster. But the real monster is the man that saw women, children, babies, and other men starving. And he laughed at them. Or he turned the gas chamber on. or he did horrific things to them. That's the monster. That's the name that we should remember, not Hitler. Hitler was living in his palace with his servants, eating food, living his life, using his voice to incite violence, but it was the citizens that grew hatred in their heart based off what he said. It was the citizens that grew anger and disgust in their hearts and treated other citizens with horrific conditions. It wasn't Hitler that did that. It was you, me, citizens of the country, of the world. And the same can be said for today. There are Islamic leaders, there are Israeli leaders, Russian leaders, Ukrainian leaders, American leaders, Canadian leaders, every country in the world, every religion in the world has people telling you, you're supposed to hate these guys. If you're a Democrat, you're told you're supposed to hate Republicans. If you're a Republican, you're told you're supposed to hate Democrats. And who's telling you these things? These leaders in these countries, the political leaders in America, living in their mansions with their servants, with their fancy food, with their $1 million yachts, enjoying and living up their lives while you are the one on the ground hating each other. You're the one on the ground inciting violence. Yes, they're telling you to do it using their voice. The media in America is telling you that you're supposed to hate me because I'm white. And I've never hurt a soul in the world. I've never done anything to a soul in the world. My family never owned slaves. My mom and I were able to take our ancestry back 1,600 years. In America, we have never owned slaves. I can't speak for outside of that. But in America, my family is from the North. We didn't own slaves, but you're told to hate me because some white people somewhere did. But you're told to hate me from people living in their mansions. You're told to hate Republicans and incite violence from people living in their mansions. You're told to hate Democrats and incite violence from people living in their mansions. They're not the monsters. It's the everyday citizens who say, oh, well, they said that, so I'm going to do this. You're the ones doing the action. Now, I think BLM, at the heart of things, is a beautiful thing that they want to protect and save lives for the Black people in this world. It's a beautiful sentiment, but that's not what's happening. Patrice, whatever her name is, lives in $1 million mansions inciting violence that she's not on the front lines of. She's not on those protest lines getting sprayed with mace. She's not rioting the building. She's in her mansion collecting millions of dollars while the everyday citizens are inciting the hate that she tells you you're supposed to have. The news media. You think that those people that are reporting the news are standing on the front lines with you with torches or whatever, mace? No, they're going home to their families, living their life after they just got done telling you you're supposed to hate this and you're supposed to do that. If we take it back to the Hitler example, and again I say, Anne Frank and the families that lived in that attic were hurting no one, bothering no one, doing nothing to no one. And because that citizen allowed the hatred from the other outside parts of the world, Hitler and the people around her him to come into their heart, they decided, and they knew exactly what was going to happen to that family: torture, rape, murder, or worse. And they still turned them in. It was a citizen that did it. Hitler didn't come down and say, oh, Anne Frank, they're here. Okay, let's get them. It wasn't him. I want to know the name of the person that turned them in. That's the monster. I have so many amazing, beautiful friends on my Facebook that I've known for such a long time. And I know that they are beautiful, kind, compassionate people. But over the last few months, I have seen their posts turn dark and nasty. Why? Because the news media told you that you're supposed to hate this person? But my friends are beautiful, kind-hearted, compassionate people. They've let the outside world, they've let the Hitlers of the world incite hatred in their heart, because the Hitlers of the world, the American politicians, the American government, governments in other countries are telling you you're supposed to hate this person, you're supposed to hate. My friends have never been hated people. They don't hate. They've had compassion and joy, and now all of a sudden, because they have been programmed and shoved in their face all day, every day, that they're supposed to hate, they have become such hateful people. They're posting nasty, hateful things on their Facebook, things they've never done before. Things like, if you support this candidate, I hope you die. You want me to die because of a political belief? Because you were indoctrinated and programmed to believe that hatred and violence are the way that you're supposed to be? No. Again, I say, those people that are inciting hatred, violence, those people that are telling you to riot, those people that are telling you Jewish people are bad, Islamic people are bad, white people are bad, they're living in their mansions, living their best lives, being served upon, laughing at the millions of dollars they're collecting because of your hatred that they have indoctrinated and programmed in you. It's the citizens that are the monsters. How many times have there been people in power, Senate, let's go with the United States, for example, senators, congressmen, religious leaders who have venomly taught you to hate gay people, who have venomously fought against gay rights, and then they were found in a gay relationship. Men who are senators, congressmen telling you that it's wrong, religious leaders telling you that being gay is wrong, and they're found with other men having sex. But you listen to that hatred because you're told to. Meanwhile, they're living their best life, and you're the one suffering and hurting and hating and inciting violence. When as a population are we going to stop? As the citizens who are inciting this violence, when are we going to stop listening to these leaders telling us that we're supposed to hate people while they're living in their $1 million mansions? There's a war going on in the Middle East because the leaders are telling you you're supposed to hate this group, and that group of leaders is telling you you're supposed to hate the other group. Meanwhile, they're living amazing lives, and it's the citizens, whether, again, you're in the military or not, you're a human being, you have a mind of your own, a conscience of your own. You get to choose whether you pull that trigger. You get to choose whether you rape a woman. You get to choose whether you behead a baby. And you're doing it because leaders who are living their best lives, making millions off of this, are telling you to do it. That man that was standing at the gas chamber to turn it on, knowing that there were women, babies, human beings inside of there, and he still turned it on, he had a choice. That man that was on the firing squad that pulled that trigger, he had a choice. That man conducting the train, driving thousands of people to what he knew was going to be a horrific death, he had a choice. It's the citizens of the countries who need to come together and stop. No matter what religion you are, no matter what color you are, no matter what ethnicity you are, you're a human being. You have a family, you have memories, you have love, you have a community, But when you choose to let hatred take over your life because some political leader or religious leader told you you're supposed to, that is when you break your sovereignty. You are a sovereign being. You have a choice every single day how you are going to live your life. And if you live it in hatred and violence because someone else told you you're supposed to, that's not why you're here. Your soul is here to love and grow and expand. All of this gun violence in America, let's just say for America, all of this gun violence, you have a choice to pull that trigger. You have a choice, but you're doing it because other people around you are telling you it's who you're supposed to be. These drug leaders or whatever, living again in their mansions, having their best life, while you're on the streets dying to sell their drugs because you're told you're supposed to. It starts with the citizens. It starts with you and me and people like us. It starts with us saying, I'm not going to participate in this anymore. Every time I see a Facebook post of someone I know is a beautiful human being on the inside, spewing hate, perpetuating violence, sharing news articles about people who have been beaten, raped, and murdered for their beliefs, hurts my heart so much because that's not who they are. That's who they've been indoctrinated to be. It starts with you and me saying no more. Choosing to be sovereign and say, I will not elicit any more violence, no matter what I'm told or shown on TV. There is women in the United States who are shaving their heads, getting hysterectomies because they are told that their rights are being taken away and they're going to listen to anything that they are told. I don't care what side of the political fence you're on, Democrat or Republican. I personally don't like either. I'm more in the middle. I don't care what side of the religious spectrum you're on. If you are inciting violence, if you are inciting messages to women to shave their head and have a hysterectomy from a healthy body, and the people that are listening to this need to wake up. Wake up. Another beautiful example of this is the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, who lost the election. And again, I don't care what side of the political party you're on, who gives a speech using the word fight over and over and over again, and then goes to Hawaii for weeks to live up her lavish life, while you are the ones on the front line eliciting the violence, fighting, doing what she's asked you to do, hate. It doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. Now I'm going to make sure to include a Republican, otherwise I'm going to be attacked in the comments, although that kind of just proves my whole point. But George W. Bush told us that we're supposed to hate Saddam Hussein. We're supposed to hate his country. We're supposed to hate his people. And what did we do? We hated them. We spewed hatred towards them. We had political rallies. We had riots, all because of weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist. He lied. But because he told people to hate, they hated. The Dixie Chicks, for example, came out and said that they don't support the war. They received death threats. They received so much hatred because they said they didn't support it. They didn't want to support hatred and violence, which is the right thing to do. It wasn't George Bush sending them hatred. It wasn't George Bush telling them to die. It was the American people, the citizens, who were told they're supposed to hate something, so they're going to hate it hard. It cost the Dixie Chicks their livelihood, and come to find out they were right. They were right. not to elicit hate. They were right not to elicit violence. They were right not to listen to a political leader say, you're supposed to hate this person. So they didn't hate. They were supposed to, but they didn't. And it cost them their livelihood from everyday people, not from Mr. Bush, who told them they're supposed to hate. Mind you, they've been living their cushy lives on their ranches in Texas or wherever they are all this time, while you have held hatred in your heart because you were told to. It wasn't Mr. Bush telling the Dixie Chicks they should die. It was everyday citizens doing it. Do you see where I'm going with this? So when you're on your Facebook posting constantly about the current person who's going to become the president, I hope you're right. Look what you've done. I just can't believe you did this. You're part of the problem. You're inciting hate. You're inciting violence. Instead of doing that, make a post that says, how can we come together and solve this? How can we form a bond between us that will help all of us? But that's not what the citizens are doing. They're inciting violence. Do you know how much billions was earned during that Gulf War that Mr. Bush started? Billions of dollars? You don't. Because the citizens of this country never saw a dime of it. It was the political leaders. It was their corporate allies who were making money, making the machinery, making the stuff for the military. It was the banks. It wasn't you and me. We're still seeing the effects of that war right now, the American people. You're told to hate Russia. You're told to hate Iraq again. You're told to hate Israel. You're told to hate Palestine. You're told to hate everything. I could go on and on and on. Do you know how many billions of dollars have been made from you hating something? You don't. Because you don't see a dime of that hatred. It's the other people that are telling you to hate, that are seeing all of that money. It's the people that are living cushy, comfortable, beautiful lives off of the backs of your hatred. When are we going to stop? When are we going to wake up? There's religious leaders who tell you to hate, and you do it. In your churches, they tell you to hate certain people, and you do it because that's what you're told. Mind you, they're going home again to their mansions, living their best life while you live with hatred and anger in your heart. As someone who is very spiritual and understands energy, this is exactly what they want, and they know what they're doing. You are a sovereign being, a beautiful soul of complete and unconditional love that you could not even imagine. And they want you to live in hatred. They want you to live in disgust. They want you to live in anger because it keeps you low. If you knew the power that you had by living in love, compassion, joy, unity, togetherness, this world would be a utopian society. But they don't want that because they can't make millions off of you if you're not eliciting violence. Every time I see one of my friends post something so hateful, it breaks my heart because they are spreading the hatred and the anger. Every time I see a woman shave her head or tell me she's getting a hysterectomy, breaks my heart because you're falling into the trap. If you're even still here, I hope you understand that my message is unity, togetherness, and love. I don't care what the outside world is telling you to believe. What is in your heart? Nobody's heart has hatred and anger unless it's been indoctrinated into them. Children and babies hug and embrace each other. They don't ask what religion you are. They don't ask what color you are, what your ethnicity is, where you were born. They embrace and hug each other, love each other, play with each other. Love and unity and joy. It's only when we get older and get indoctrinated to hate that we start to. You've got to find a way to release the hatred and the anger from your heart, from your life. Turn off the news. God, I haven't watched the news in years. Go inside of your own heart, deep in your own heart. You're not going to find hatred there. You've been told to hate, and so you hate. You've been told you're supposed to hate white people, so you do. You've been told you're supposed to hate Jewish people, Muslim people, Christian people, whatever. And so you do. But at the heart of who you are, you're not those things. It starts with the citizens. It starts with the people. I hope that you have understood what I'm saying. I don't condone violence of any kind. I don't condone anyone speaking about violence. I don't condone anyone hurting another person in any way, shape, or form, ever. And I wish more of us would take a stance against that. I wish more of us would stand up and say, okay, yeah, Hitler told us to hate each other, but he wasn't the one pulling the trigger. We were. He wasn't the one turning the gas chamber on. We were. We took what he said and just went with it. We took what these countries in the Middle East are saying and just go for it. Why? Why? Ask yourself why you're hating someone. Ask yourself why you're angry. Ask yourself why you're taking part in these protests. Ask yourself why you're burning buildings down. Ask yourself why you're hurting other human beings. Is it because you want to? That's a mental issue. Or is it because you were told to do that? You were told to hate someone. It's really a journey inward. Again, if you're still here, thank you for listening. I look forward to constructive comments, and I'll see you in the next video.